How to know if you have the genetics to be fast. So commonly, there is this belief that you're either born fast or not. I've heard a lot of coaches say this. I've heard a lot of people say this. It's a myth that is commonly spread around, and obviously, like most myths, it gets recycled and recycled, and that's why a lot of the times it never dies. And I want to tell you that that is totally not true. I've been reading a lot into Charlie Francis's books. If you don't know him, he is a well-renowned sprint coach and changed a lot of the thinking and structures and systems in sprint training and training for speed. A lot of it is still old school and there's a lot of better stuff you can learn now, but there is still so many good points that is made in his book. One of the first parts in reading this that really stood out to me was when he highlighted certain myths of sprint training. This myth that fast athletes are born, not made. And then this part really stood out to me. He basically says that looking at elite athletes, a minimum of 5 to 8 years of correct training is needed to be able to truly see the potential for speed. And then the best part that he mentions is that he argues that most sprinters, and this can account for anything, any kid in your team maybe as well, are unmade and not made. And that is due all to, according to him, inappropriate training. So I thought I'd talk about this. There are 3 points I'd like to cover in this video, and I'll do it as quick as possible. First of all, 5 to 8 years of correct training and unmade athletes because of inappropriate training. What does that mean? What is correct training and what is inappropriate training? Well, according to me, correct training refers to actual speed training. I've made so many videos on this. I've posted so many times about this, yet I think, obviously I don't have a big following, but the message will probably take years and years to get out to all coaches, because still at a rugby field, at any type of field where you see coaches working on conditioning with kids, what do you see the majority of time? You see laps as punishment, and you see kids doing these long overhaul stuff with insane amounts of volume at a slow pace. That will never develop a kid to be a faster athlete. Although the funny thing about this is that coaches usually value the kid with the speed the most in any type of sport. If you look at soccer, if you look at rugby, it's always the fast kids that excel at the sport the most, which is for me so ironic, because at the end of the day, we do nothing to develop these unmade athletes that we have in our team. How many of those kids in your team have this amazing potential that you'll never really see, or you're never really helping the athlete to get to that potential as well? Because maybe you'll have a kid at their starting point, maybe they've never trained speed in their life, for say, and you are the coach that will have this kid for a year to 2 years. Most coaches don't contribute in those 1 to 2 years to those 5 to 8 years of development, because of this terrible type of training, this long training, slow training. It doesn't contribute to those 5 to 8 years. So you also probably never know. And which is also kind of hard to think, well, how many kids do we have on our teams that we aren't really sure are fast or can be fast, or have the potential to be these amazing athletes? Because at the end of the day, for me, speed is the best quality you can have in any sport. Point number 2, quick fixes for speed. I've seen this so many times, and I made a post about it the other day, mocking it a bit and being a bit sarcastic about it, saying the best drill for speed, or saying this and this and that. At the end of the day, the thing that's going to get you faster is extensive amounts of sprinting. When we look at the kids that are fast, or adults that grow up to be fast and be immensely good athletes, these are people that were fast when they were born, obviously. So they were the lucky bunch. What happens when you are born and you're fast and you're at a school? You get told, oh, you're going to sprint for the athletics team. Okay, there you get some extra sprinting as well. Oh, you get told, oh, you excel at sport. Oh, you go do your sport and you sprint more in your sport because you run away from people and you're fast and you get it right. So naturally, the fast athletes get selected naturally through natural selection to sprint more because they excel at it. However, the kids that aren't naturally fast will never get naturally selected to sprint more. The sport doesn't select them to sprint more because they can't. They can't just get away from people that easy. And they won't be selected naturally to express their sprinting abilities because they aren't necessarily that fast. And that is why those type of kids who are fast from the beginning tend to look like they are super fast, because people say they were born with it, but actually they were fast, yes, from a young age, And then that built an extensive history of sprinting through all the ages. When they were in high school, they were 14. Fast kid, we should use him for the athletics team. Boom, the kid gets more sprinting, 3-4 months of sprinting already. Compared to a kid who wasn't fast, didn't get into the athletics team, doesn't sprint, doesn't train. So that is also something that you need to know. Sprinting, getting faster is never because you did these cool technique works. That is why I get so annoyed at these videos that get insane amounts of views on YouTube and searches. What is the best drill for speed? I did it as well when I was younger. Typed in on YouTube, what is the best drill for speed? Saw some exercises, did them for 2 weeks and stopped. It wasn't getting faster. What was up with that? So that is most kids thinking. That's most athletes thinking. I think it's important that kids need to know that it takes long. I want to point out though, when people hear this 5 to 8 years, they'll get really discouraged because it's super long. But I want to point out, in my first year to 2 years of actual speed training, I did see a lot of gains. I would say that in year 3 and 4, it did slow down a bit. However, it will pick up again. I'm not really 100% sure, but I do believe it will pick up again. But that just means that it's highly individual. But the only thing that really gets you faster is that. And the last thing is sprinting year round. You need to sprint year round. It is what it is. You need to do it. And for that, I just want to address all the coaches watching this video maybe that periodizes speed. Stop doing that. It doesn't work and it actually has no value, doesn't do what you think it does, and your cool Excel spreadsheet with green lines and everything doesn't do anything. You need to sprint year round. Find a way for your athletes to do it. Minimize, maximize, go for various volumes throughout seasons, but sprint year round. If you have the dedication to do it, you can definitely get faster, even if you are not a naturally fast person.